Hi Gary, I'm Pauline Black, lead singer of The Selecter, and this is my 80s. My first choice is Brass in Pocket by The Pretenders. The reason why I've chosen this is because I have long been an admirer of the wonderful Chrissie Hynde. I was lucky enough back in the day when The Selecter had their first hit to be on a kids' programme. I think it was Multicoloured Swap Shop, something like that. And during the break, Chrissie came up to me and my guitarist at the time, Neil Davis, and said, hey, Jimmy and I, Jimmy being Jimmy Honeyman Scott, her guitarist, she just invited us down the pub. So we went down the pub, had something to eat, and just sat around talking about being in a band. And it was the first time, really, that I had spoken to another woman who was fronting a band at that time. She was a mine of information. She was so kind, and I've never really forgotten that. We met a number of times after that, but nonetheless, that was my very first experience. And I just thought Brass in Pocket was just one of the best written songs that I can think of by a fellow female artist, and just so off the wall and, so characterful of her. My second choice is a Nina Simone song, My Baby Just Cares for Me. I was working on a black arts programme that went out every fortnight. It was one of the very first, fronted by black people at that time. It was called Black on Black. And we did it live in front of an audience. And we were graced with the presence at that time of Miss Nina Simone. She came into the studio and I was designated to interview her. There is footage of myself standing by her grand piano as she was about to do the song, and she pretty much gave me monosyllabic answers, which, if anyone's ever interviewed somebody, knows that that is a really difficult gig to sort of deal with. Anyway, some person, I think they were in Scotland, sent in a little cartoon afterwards of my legs disappearing into this grand piano lid, which had grown teeth and was basically just sort of chewing me up. And that's pretty much how I remember that particular interview. But just to have been in her presence at that time was just something else. And it's something that I will always remember. My baby don't care for shows. My baby just cares for me. My third choice is Free Nelson Mandela, which was by the Special AKA, and it was a top 10 hit in the UK in 1984. And it instantly became the unofficial anthem and the slogan for the international anti-apartheid movement, and made Nelson Mandela pretty much into a household name, which culminated, of course, in the Nelson Mandela's 70th birthday tribute, staged on the 11th of June in 1988 at Wembley Stadium. And I, at that time, was doing some presenting, and I got to go to that concert, and it was absolutely fantastic. Everybody was there. Stevie Wonder was there, Whitney Houston was there, Harry Belafonte was there. It was just great. And this particular song, I think on that occasion, sung by Elvis Costello, began the proceedings. And I remember thinking then, if you really want to move mountains, and that was a huge mountain to move, the apartheid system in South Africa at the time, then you needed somebody with the genius of Jerry Dammers, I guess, to write a song which encapsulated exactly the feeling that everybody had on that day, and led, of course, to his eventual release. My ultimate 80s choice is Come On Eileen by Dexys Midnight Runners. The reason why I've chosen this is because when this particular song came out, I was presenting a kids programme, and it was called Hold Tight, and it came from Alton Towers And I knew Dexys Midnight Runners in a far previous incarnation to what they turned up with now, looking like sort of, in all their dungarees and playing fiddles and things. But the thing that fascinated me about this particular song was that enormous transition that Kevin Rowland had made. And not only that, he'd chosen a song which was the name of somebody who I held very dear at that time, but back then I didn't actually know, and that was my birth mother. I'd always known that her name was Eileen, and it kind of fascinated me, I suppose. There was this song, Come On Eileen. I used to think, I wonder whether she knows. Does she like this song? It would be another 10 years or so before I actually found out. But I did find my birth mother. Her name was Eileen, and everybody in her huge family in Australia on her birthday used to play her Come On Eileen, which was absolutely hilarious. So yeah, thanks to Kevin Rowland for writing that song in the first place.